Today on Weekend Terrain, we're going to be building a medieval church. The idea for this design came from 12th century medieval churches. I just put it into ChatGPT to try to get a simplified version of it. Came up with this. It's a simple design, but I think it reads medieval church well, which is the most important thing. So, blocking out the shapes here, you're going to need 2 rectangle roof panels, 2 rectangle walls, 2 perfect squares for walls, and then 4 long, slender rectangles for the front tower piece. We're going to cut those now, and then I'll put them all together to show you how it all fits. I'm just taking this one larger rectangle and cutting it into 4 skinnier ones. And then taking one of those rectangles and cutting it directly in half for the end walls. And there they are again. So we just need the roof panels now, and for the roof panels I just traced one of the walls and then added about a ½ inch around each side so that we have a little bit of an overhang on each of those roof parts. So here it is again. The foam cutter makes this really easy. I bought this one for $25 on Amazon. It's super cheap, but if you take your time with it, it works until I have enough money to upgrade that. And then in the front tower, just drawing a window piece and a door. We'll cut that out eventually. So this is what it's going to look like. And then I went ahead and just added 3 windows on each of the walls, on the sides, and then 1 window at the back. And then hit every piece with the texture roller. This texture roller I mentioned in my previous video, it's about $10 on Amazon. It makes this go a lot quicker rather than drawing all those bricks, and by the time you're done painting it, I think it looks just as good as a lot of the things that you can do by hand. Now for the shingles, I just cut ½ strips of this black construction paper. Tried to get the shingle design worked into each of them. I did 6 of these on each side. I would probably recommend doing 12. I think that's my one regret with this build, is the shingles aren't as small as they could have been. Just take your time with that step. And then with the front tower, I wanted to add some accent stonework. I just cut some squares and added battlements to the top and a cross to go with it. Cutting out this window, I cut out the door, and then I actually put the door right back in, so we're going to paint that later. And then just using hot glue, sticking that onto the main building. Going around and cutting out each of the windows. And then I added some stonework accents to each window. And then I cut a rectangle piece out of the front of the roof, and this is just to get that medieval design where it sort of slides into the tower. It doesn't go all the way to the front, it kind of goes halfway through. And then to base this, I'm just using 1/8 MDF. You can buy these stacks of 12 by 12 pieces on Amazon. So just some black craft paint to prime, and then hitting the roof with some brown. For the stonework, I used white, blue, and black to make a bluish gray color, which I painted all the way around. Not quite a dry brush, but it's not a wet brush, so something in between. The paint isn't running into the cracks, but you're also getting a lot of coverage. And then I'm going in and just picking out different stones with blue, tan, and brown all the way around to give a little bit more of a dynamic look to the color. I go into that quite a bit in my previous video where we were building stone walls in painting stone. So I'm not going to get too detailed with the painting here, but a few different layers of dry brush, different browns, different whites for the roof. And then I did put a wash over the whole thing for all of the stone parts using strong tone. And then just adding some flock here around. And that wraps up the build for the medieval church. I'll be using it for my Barons War games, but I think it should fit right in on any medieval or fantasy setting you're building for. If you want to see more terrain like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.